And pain and suffering is something that God has meant for all of us too. During life, that we're meant to learn from some of that stuff, and that's why I'm still in that stage for that. Like, if I'm meant to do something, get out of something, I haven't gotten totally past the stage where I could get past this stuff, pain and suffering, and move on. So that's why I'm just anticipating it right now. That's what I'm doing. I'm anticipating it.
Sleeping bag and maybe some cooking items, a little propane stove. And he told me, Minister Steve, I don't have any other options. And he said, I'd greatly appreciate that. So I set him up with all those items, and we set him up in an area in Toms River. And when he was down there about a week, he met other homeless people that were living in the woods. In fact, he said he was trying to find a job. He was going to a car wash, and on his way through the woods, he found 4 homeless people sleeping on a king-size mattress in the middle of the woods. So he gave me a call and he said, Minister Steve, I found other homeless people that don't have anything. Can you help them out? So I brought down tents and sleeping bags and again, what I could to make their life a little more comfortable. And then I said to myself, if there's homeless people in Toms River, there must be homeless people in Lakewood. And so I started looking around Lakewood, and I found a group of homeless, about 12 homeless people living in a junkyard right behind a Chinese restaurant down by the railroad tracks. And went down there and did my best to try to supply them with blankets, food, and whatever I could find to help them. It was that first winter, as they were sleeping in those cars, that a fellow by the name of Vincent Gathers came down with pneumonia. By the time he got to the hospital, it was too late. He lasted 3 weeks in the hospital, wasted away, and died from his pneumonia. And it was then I realized something more has to be done to bring heat to the homeless in their environment. So we started supplying propane heaters to the homeless at that time. And it made a big difference in how they existed through the wintertime, how they felt, how their comfort zone was in the wintertime. They felt a lot more comfortable sleeping and living in a tent with heat during the wintertime. And so again, we continued to supply the basic necessities of life. And the homeless situation lately has grown tremendously. I believe a lot has to do with the economy.
You would attribute it to the economy?
Yeah, I believe some would have to do with the economy. Some just the availability of affordable housing in the area, the access to a shelter. There is no homeless shelter in Ocean County. Right now there's a homeless shelter in Atlantic City, which is about 60 miles away. And it's an urban environment. Most of the homeless here are used to a rural or suburban environment, and they really don't want to go to an urban center for shelter. And once they get down there, they're asked to leave for the day, and they've got to wander the streets during the day until the doors open and they can come in for dinner time. And then you can only, if you're not addicted, if you can't go into one of their programs, if you don't have an addiction problem, then you just can stay 10 days and then you have to leave and wander the streets again. So it's very difficult for the homeless of this area because there's really no place for them to go on a daily basis. Here in Lakewood, the affordable housing, there's thousands and thousands of affordable housing units that have been built in this town since 1985, but it's almost gone exclusively to whites only. It hasn't been opened up to the minority community.
How long have you been in this situation?
Ever since '02,
I've been in this situation about 2 years probably.
you know. And then I came here and it's sort of like helped me out a lot. Because I've been in cars, on the porch, you know, in the streets.
Like I first was started being homeless from 8 years ago, and in other words, I haven't had a solid place. My last permanent address where I was there at least 8, 9 months to a year and a half was like 8 years ago.
Went to prison, and I did 18 months. When I got out, they said they couldn't help me. I got out in '02. They said nothing they could do for me.
So basically, there was really no assistance
No.
available for you.
None.
Okay, now this community is basically brand new. This is just a few years old.
Yeah, I'd say this is probably 4 years from when they cleared the land.
And how many units are in here approximately?
It's going to be about 2,000. They're still building. They've got some footings that haven't been built on yet, 2 or 3 footings, but it's almost done. And when they're done, it's going to be about 2,000 units of affordable housing, completely segregated.
Affordable housing?
Affordable housing, not built with HUD money, but funded with private developers. But a lot of the people in here are on Section 8. So they're being funded, by government taxpayer money to be in here, and it's low income. It's something that somebody can move into with a Section 8 certificate.
So why couldn't some of the people in the camp come out here and move into here?
Well, if they could get a Section 8 certificate, but I think a lot of these units are built bigger, probably on purpose. They're built 3 and 4 bedroom, which a lot of the Orthodox have larger families, and so that might pose a problem. But the problem is they're not building for the general community. They're segregating in how they're building. Of course, there's a synagogue here. There's no church in this development. They're building bigger houses, which the Orthodox families have, larger families, and most of the general community don't have the larger families anymore. So they're segregating in their housing and how they're built. It's discrimination by design. They're designing their developments in a way that causes other people not to want to move in or can't move in because of the structure and how they're made. Each of these apartments have 2 stoves and 2 sinks in every kitchen. And again, that's gearing toward the Orthodox community and their kosher beliefs. And it's not gearing toward the general community who don't need 2 stoves and 2 sinks. So what this is, it's an anti-Christian, anti-Muslim, anti-Hindu, anti-Christian statement here by this development. They're excluding other religions by the way that they're constructing these houses.